Hospitality is a bit gullible. I don't always give the most popular answers, but I will give you my honest answer. And I think hospitality is the most gullible, easy to jump on a fad industry there is. Hoteliers love to gobble that stuff up, right? We are we are bass. We something shiny. We are suckers for biting on the hook.
Hello, and welcome back to the Moments That Matter podcast, the podcast where we take a deep dive into the pivotal moments that have shaped the journeys of exceptional and influential leaders. I'm your host, Jason Crapero, and in each episode, we explore an industry leader and their unique story, a set and series of moments that have defined their paths. Today, I'm so happy to be joined by Chief Marketing Officer of Brittain Resorts, Patrick Norton. Patrick, how are you?
Good. Thank you for having me. Maybe next time we'll do not the day after Cinco de Mayo, but we'll power through today, so we'll be good.
Sounds good. What did you end up doing for Cinco de Mayo?
Margaritas, several. So celebrating with the wife.
Nice. Are you so you live in Myrtle Beach?
I do, yes.
Where did you all go for those, or was this an at-home thing?
Took the boat out. Just took the boat out on the river. She played bartender and I played captain. So
Oh, amazing.
perfect Cinco de Mayo.
Is that the inlet there?
It's actually inlets ties out to the ocean. We have a waterway. The waterway you can actually take from Florida all the way to New York too. It's crazy.
No way.
It's a long run.
When we were there, actually, we stayed at this is before I ever met you. We stayed at the North Beach villas with our kids, and we went to the Intercoastal Waterway. My son and I rented jet skis, and it was part of like a dolphin watch excursion. So we took them out to the ocean, and it was incredible. Just the dolphins all around, and they had a read on where we could find them. Really cool experience.
It's great, but jet ski people on the waterways, like if you have a boat, it's like a scene from Waterworld, the Kevin Costner movie. It's very frustrating. They just will swarm you, surround you, and just you look like you're about to be attacked by pirates all the time. They're everywhere. So I'm glad you took yours on the ocean to go see dolphins. Stop harassing us boaters.
We were definitely not harassing. For those who are newer to the channel or not familiar with Brittain or yourself, can you give an overview of your role, and what Brittain does?
Yeah, so Brittain Resorts and Hotels is a Southeast-based management company. We're currently located in Myrtle Beach, but we have high-end resorts from Myrtle Beach all the way down to Key Largo now. So we've recently expanded into Florida. We're at 30 plus premier resorts, 45 restaurants, and about 250 million in revenue. So we've just started expanding outside of South Carolina. We've got a whole development team now that's focused on taking us national. So we are probably 6 months to a year into that process, but plan to be coast to coast in the next few years.
Wow. How many hotels, resorts is it currently, and where would you like to be?
So we're at 30 plus right now, including North Beach, which you mentioned, the one that's modeled after the Atlantis Resort, probably one of the nicest ones we manage. That's one of the ones in our portfolio.
Yeah, I was actually blown away by that place. We had we originally thought we would be in Myrtle Beach, like right down in like the heart of it, and it just seemed like a different pace in North Myrtle.
Yeah.
And then having access to, is it Barefoot Landing?
Yep, right across the street.
Oh my gosh, right across the street. But then when you travel with a family, it's always tough. Like I struggle with 3 kids. I have a 6, a 7, and a 9. To be in a hotel room is really just not ideal, no matter what the layout is. And so having those kind of condo accommodations that are oceanfront were just perfect for us. Like, hey, you guys, here's your kids' room. We're going to go in our own bedroom.
There's North Beach is great because it's got 8-bedroom houses. It's got I don't know if you saw the bridge up top. That's actually a 9-bedroom penthouse with a private elevator right to it. So,
oh no, I didn't.
Yeah,
is that above the pizzeria?
It is. Yeah, it's the entire second floor above that. It's amazing.
Oh, that's great. So chief marketing officer. How do you go from first job to here? Did you start with marketing? Did you start in hotels, or did you kind of wind your way here?
I did not. I mean, I started in hotels when I was 15. I'm from upstate New York in the Adirondacks, and I worked at a Buena Vista Resort in Lake George. And you're a towel boy basically. You just had to carry the towels out to the housekeepers, and then you start partnering with them and cleaning with them. So I started where every person in hospitality should start, which was with a bucket, a scrub brush, and cleaning a tub. And I
Wow.
did that for years, and I stayed in Myrtle Beach till I was about 17, and my parents moved to Charlotte. So um, we were a low income family, and Myrtle Beach was always a value destination for us. So we came here every single year for vacation. When my parents left, a little parenting advice for everyone out there: don't leave your 16-year-old in a state alone where they have their own apartment. When they're a senior in high school, it is nearly impossible to graduate high school when there's no one getting you out of bed. So I was headed on a bit of a bad path there, and I felt like I needed a dramatic change. So I moved to Myrtle Beach I sold everything I had at probably about 18. I sold my car, I sold all my furniture. I moved to Myrtle Beach with a hammock and clothes. And I found a trailer that was $250 a month, and I had about $500 in my pocket. And I just was alone. I didn't know a soul in Myrtle Beach. And I went walking one day looking for a store to buy food, and I saw flags in the distance. And I got closer, and I saw this castle in the middle of nowhere. And I was like, it was a beacon calling to me. So I walked up to it. I saw a drawbridge, and I'd never been there, but apparently it was medieval times. So the trailer I ended up living in was very close to medieval times, and I applied there to be a squire. I had high ambitions of being the Green Knight, and then as I would age into the king, as I would grow the salt and pepper beard, that would take some time.
Yeah.
And I went home and I watched Braveheart and First Night and everything, and I prepared for my role, and I never got a call back ever. So I was
Oh,
pretty devastated.
but you committed to it. I
I
mean, you were
did. I
invested.
did. Yeah, I went through a couple brooms, practicing on some trees out back. But yeah, no call back for the squire position. So medieval times, you're lost. Um, but I did end up taking a cab down to the beach one day, and I started at one end of the beach, and I applied at every single resort. Just walked the entirety of the beach. I probably applied at 150 resorts, and I got one call back, and it was Compass Cove. So I started at Compass Cove in the reservations department, which Compass Cove is managed by Brittain Resorts and Hotels, the company I work for right now. And just to fast forward, there's more detail in there, but I have been with them since that day and just climbed the corporate ladder and um, uh, gotten close with my mentor, who was one of the three brothers that owned the company, and had 13 promotions over 23 years until culminating in 2 years ago, I finally signed on as myself and two other people as the first partners in the history of the company. So we officially became owners and heir apparents to take the company over someday and continue running it under the Brittain legacy. But it's been it's been an amazing journey from failed squire at medieval times, reservationist at Compass Cove, to owner and partner and CMO.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we're going to definitely dig into that. So I had no idea that I'm probably older than you, but I had no idea that our stories had so much parallel. So I'm originally from upstate New York,
Mhm.
and my mom, you know, at 16 we were out of the house, not not by our own doing, just kind of kicked out. Not going to say left homeless, but that we just struggled to graduate and lived in the craziest, most precarious places. It was not ideal. And then I ended up moving to Myrtle Beach when I was 19 years old, after I did 2 years of a junior college, and I got into Coastal Carolina University, the Chanticleers,
Mhm.
but I couldn't afford the tuition. So
Yeah.
I asked them to defer it so I could go to school, so I could work for a year, get in-state tuition, and then go to school. And I ended up getting on with a friend of my girlfriend's at the time at Sonic Drive-In. So I was working out of the Carolina Forest one. And again, I didn't know a soul. I had no friends, nothing. I always tell people my whole story stops if I had one friend or transportation or knew
Hmm.
where to go to have fun because I just worked and went home. My bed pulled out of the wall. I had no picture, no TV. I say no radio, no TV, nothing. So I just worked my butt off at Sonic Drive-ins and ended up building the one in Conway. That was my first store that I had, but I was out in Florence as well for a period of time, which is
Okay.
crazy. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's a wild coincidence there.
Well, Sonic has great ice, right? I mean, that's famous for that ice. So you had access to that. So that was a huge perk of the job. But the
Yeah.
it was hard. Like not knowing a soul is hard. I didn't. My first friend was a 50-year-old woman named Bunny, and I used to take a cab to work, which would I my first 2 hours of work at work were to pay for my cab ride to work. So I was working for free for the first 2 hours. I would work 3 to 11, and then I would walk home every single night. And the distance won't make sense to people, but it was from Compass Cove to my house, which was probably 6 or 7 miles. I would get home at 2 in the morning, and I would just rinse and repeat. And I
Yeah.
met Bunny, and she worked there as a reservationist, and she would give me a ride home. And but she had this. Her stipulation was we had to stop at a karaoke bar every night on the way home, have a drink, and I had to sing "Signed, Sealed, Delivered" on karaoke every single time. Otherwise, she would not give me a ride home the next time. So I got really good at it. I'm not going to
Is
sing
that your
it for
go-to
you,
now?
but yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, with so much practice, I break it out regularly. But yeah, it was. I mean, she was my best friend for like 6 months, and then I met. Um, uh, I ended up meeting some other people. One of which is my vice president of revenue right now. The next person I met ended up introducing me to my wife, and then just it flows from there. So it feels scary in the beginning, and there's a lot of moments where you just want to quit and move to Charlotte and move in with your parents or move back to New York and be back with your familiar friends. But something's driving you to leave your hometown, to start over, to take your journey on onto the next chapter. So powered through, and it worked out well.
Yeah, and it's funny too. Like when I came down, I would keep in touch with guys up there. And they weren't doing anything spectacular, but man, did they hate on me for
Yeah,
flipping at Sonic. They were like, "How's it going, Burger Boy, Fry Fella, Sultan of
jealous,
Sonic?" The
all
name.
jealous.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is that I learned is someone from upstate New York. So I essentially just reinvented myself. The moment I hit the ground here, nobody knew me. So I was like, I'm just going to be the hardest worker. I'm just going to give 100%, see what happens. And man, it's crazy because at this Sonic group and my franchisee, Brian Bailiff, he rewarded you. If you worked hard and you did the right thing and you were going the extra mile, promotions and into ownership and mentorship and access to him and that kind of thing. So incredible experience though.
Yeah,
And
having
you
having
made
the right mentor and owner makes all the difference in the world for your journey, without a doubt.
Yeah, can you think of a moment that stands out to you as one of those pivotal moments? So
Mm.
you're working, you're getting rides back, and these are. I mean, I love the story. Are you saying Bonnie or Bunny
Bunny,
with a
Bunny.
U?
I still don't know her real name. She's passed since then. She was 50 back then, but yeah, Bunny.
Yeah, is there like a turning point or a point at which you said, "I think I can make a career out of this"?
Yeah, so I went to school. I wanted to go to school for film. I'm a huge, I mean, I have Christopher Nolan posters behind me. The other wall is Quentin Tarantino films. I was obsessed with film, and one of the local schools here had a just rolled out from a Boston college, Boston University professor started a film class. And so I went to school for film and graphic design. I learned that side of marketing unintentionally. And I
Yeah,
was just working with the company to kind of pay my way through school. And that was really the general idea. And then over time, you just kind of got stuck in that position of, well, I don't know. I feel trapped here. I want now. I kind of want to do marketing. I don't know if I want to do film. So I quit Compass Cove, and that was a huge, huge move for me. All my friends were there. It felt like a fraternity. We could have done that forever. It was a low pressure situation, and it was hard to leave there, leave this company, and I did. And I wanted to be a marketing director of sorts or something significant in the marketing space, but this company was too big. So I had to leave and go to a competitor for a few years and take that position for a lesser company. And I love telling them the story because it's the story I told them when they interviewed me. But when all I did was try to go after our properties, I tried to make that company better than this company. Um, and that eventually led to an interview with the CEOs of Brittain Resorts and Hotels who didn't know me that well when I worked at a property. I mean, they have a billion properties, they have 3,000 employees, but um, it's a hard thing to say that I had to leave this company to get rehired back at a significant corporate level, and then they hired me back as director of marketing. So that was a hard move, and I always call it the comfort trap because I could still be there right now if I didn't just wake up one day and say it's time to go. And you don't know why you say it's time to go. Just you know that it's time for another dramatic change. So those big dramatic pivots and shifts have turned out right so far. So knock on wood.
So you left the one role, Compass Cove.
Mhm.
Then you're now the marketing director in their comp set and make it your mission to basically go after them and take that business. Did the
Right.
CEOs take notice of that? Or when you applied, you're like, hey, it's been me doing this for the people that you don't want me to do this for?
Right. No, they took notice, and it wasn't vindictive at all. It happened to be the properties that I was managing were in their comp set next to them. So I just knew. It sounds so weird to say that. This was like starting like the rise of the internet, really. Not the rise of the internet, but where travel was starting to adopt e-commerce a little more, right? It was travel, AAA was still kind of a thing and all that, but like websites were becoming more relevant. And I was just finishing up school, learning how to make websites, how to do graphic design, how to do videography. Digital arts has been the key to my success in marketing my entire career. It was an accident. Like I went to school to make film. It ended up translating really, really well to marketing, to do presentations, to sell ideas, to running marketing departments, right? We have internal team of 11 right now. I mean, we are our own marketing agency right now, but they took notice. A guy named Chris Cabal reached out to me, who was an operator at one of the properties, and he introduced me to this senior leadership and said, "Hey, I think you need to revisit this guy. He's a former employee of ours." So I had this very intimidating interview that felt like The Apprentice or something. It was like 11 people sitting on one side of the table and me with my voice shaking. And uh, it was probably the scariest interview I've ever been through in my life. I was just terrified, but ended up getting that job, coming back, and stayed incredibly aggressive and hungry and just push, push, push.
When you walked out of there, did you think I totally blew this?
Yeah, I don't know why I was so obsessed with how I just didn't sound confident. Like I felt very much like a kid in that interview. Like they were still looking at a reservationist who used to make $6, $7 an hour at their property, right? A former bellman who used to do room changes and help people with their luggage. And it took years, even when I got promoted, for me to feel like they saw me as an executive that they hired, and not through their fault, just through, um, what do you call it? Imposter syndrome or
Yeah.
insecurity, right? Just
They
being
had to know,
promoted young has some pitfalls.
they had to know a little bit of what they were doing though to have, a youngster on the other side of the table, and we've got like this line up here.
Right. Oh yeah. I mean, it was I mean, they were cruel, right? Like I sat down and one of them was said, I'm good cop, that's bad cop, and that's me, like just so I knew right away, who was going to be the bully in the room. But um,
That's
more so, they knew the company's brilliant. So a couple years into the executive level, our company is run by three brothers, Matthew, David, and Clay. David is the middle brother. He was really the CEO of the company. He ran it um, in conjunction with his brothers, but he was the face of the franchise. And he died very, very unexpectedly, and we had no idea. It was just it happened one day overnight. Um, Clay, the older brother, was a lawyer, so he was still always there, kind of overseeing as the chairman of the board. But Matthew, the younger brother, who I don't think ever prepared for that role, never thought he would be in that role, was suddenly just thrust into this role of 3,000 employees make it happen. And to his credit, he has turned into a phenomenal CEO, and he's been my mentor for 15 years. He's financed all my education, my MBA at Johns Hopkins, my certifications from Cornell, my bachelor's from WGU, every piece of it. He is all about
Wow.
continuing education for his company, right? We have a full tuition reimbursement for any employee in our company that wants to go back to school, which is amazing. We have incredible perks, all designed to make our employees better at what they do. And he is the key to my success. If I can say I've had success, it was having the right mentor who believed me, stayed with me through the patient years, let me be immature, continues to let me be immature, and is just kind of coached me for the last almost 2 decades now.
Yeah, well, I certainly think by anyone's measuring stick, being the CMO and owner of a company doing 250 million is successful. Man,
I'll take it.
that's incredible, and it definitely, I can assume, breeds loyalty as well. So 20, you're in 22 years, they're taking care of
Mhm.
you. Is this common in your company to look around and see people with 5, 10, 15 years?
Yeah, we are the we. I would challenge any other company to go toe to toe with what we do for internal growth. We have a we focus on an aggressive farm system, right? We do not hire top up. Like if we had a someone left for another company, a senior position, the person below them is getting the first shot to interview for that, and the person below them is interviewing for theirs. We have dramatic, strong bench farm system that we can promote up. So my team alone is this amazing three-headed monster of sales, marketing, revenue. That's mostly what I oversee. Brian Miller, who he used to own his own company before he got into the travel space. He was a call center agent in our golf department at one point. He's the vice president of sales right now. Our VP of revenue was a bellman at Compass Cove with me 23 years ago. Our vice president of marketing was social media manager before us, and before that, a couple weeks before that, she was a Buffalo Wild Wings waitress. So every single person in our company that's in a position of senior leadership has been promoted over the years and but through kind of climbing the corporate internal ladder.
That's incredible. And I mean, I'm sure you've got the studies too. I talk to people all the time about like what's your biggest issue, hoping they're going to say, I need more video. And a lot
Yeah,
of times it's turnover. We can't keep people, revolving door. You know, people go out, they come back. The productivity and efficiency that you probably retain from taking care of your folks, having them stay and keep all that institutional knowledge
right.
internally, even for your repeat guests as well. I've got
Hmm.
to assume there are people that come back to that North Beach, and that's my only the only one that I visited. But I'm assuming people go there every single year. The same people come back, and to see the same faces at the
Right.
swim up pool, and and at the pizzeria or the front desk. That's got to be good for them to see too.
So guest history marketing is kind of our claim to fame in the marketing department, and we have not just market not just a market high, but I would say almost an industry high or near industry high. We have a 75% repeat rate at our hotels, which is unbelievable. That means we have to get 2.5 million guests every year that we put through our hotels. I'm not great at math. I'm sure I wrote it down somewhere, but that means the marketing department only has to go and find 25% of that every year versus 50% if you only have a 50% repeat. That's a huge testament to the operational side of our company, right? They're doing a good job with guest experience of making them want to come back. But we also do an aggressive guest history campaign throughout the year. Just database marketing alone, we send 90 million emails out a year, personalized, custom tailored, shifting into kind of AI driven messaging in there, which we, like everyone else, has a lot of work to do there. There's a lot we can borrow from what retail does. I think retail is I really think they kind of paved the way for just the whole e-commerce online shopping experience period. And hospitality has a lot to learn from them. But Hospitality is a bit gullible. I really, again, I don't always give the most popular answers, but I will give you my honest answer. And I think hospitality is the most gullible, easy to jump on a fad industry there is, right? And it's partly what I worry about AI. AI is exciting, obviously. I don't talk about it that much during interviews and podcasts. I will, but it is talked about to death. It's common sense. You need to be following it. You need to be doing things with it. It's
Yep.
exciting in how many opportunities there are. It's terrifying in how quick it's accelerating. So you can buy product A, which is obsolete in a week, but it is going to be riddled with fads that people are going to jump on. Everyone is going to take their product, add the word AI to it, and now try to repackage it to use that. And hoteliers love to gobble that stuff up, right? We are we are bass. We something shiny. We are suckers for biting on the hook. So that's a big concern I have about where the industry's heading with AI.
Yeah, well, I mean, every conference I go to, there's sessions, breakout sessions on AI. I think a lot of people are just trying to get their arms around the most useful use cases for them. And
Mhm.
a lot of times, like I was in a call earlier this morning, and someone's like, "How are you approaching AI from a content generation standpoint?" And I was like, "Oh, we're not. We have a Gen AI feature which allows people to just scan the site and go, which page on my website would be best for this video? And then which section would be best? And what video should I use? And what should the calls to action be? So it's doing the thing you want to do just a little faster and with a guide.
Right,
But I don't really want to get hover to a point where we're doctoring up or artificially generating what the experience is going to be like. I would feel if somebody showed up in person and an AI video kind of bamboozled them to go and the experience doesn't match, that's almost worse than
right.
if you showed your authentic self of what this place really looks like and they just rejected the booking. Is
Hmm.
thought it was going to be one thing and then boy was it a total letdown. So
Yeah,
we're not getting into AI generated video
that's
for
great.
people.
No,
And
and nothing wrong. AI should augment your product from day one, and there are going to be people who roll out effective, products that rely exclusively on AI. You can tell again, there's going to be so much abuse of the term that we're going to become numb to it at some point where, every product is they're just going to slap AI on it, whether it has it AI integrated into it or not. And um, you can already feel the pollution of products out there just in email lately in the last 6 months alone. I mean, there's not one sales pitch we've had that doesn't have an AI integration into it for some reason that half of them aren't even really AI, right? They're just machine learning pieces that have existed for the last 10 years.
yeah, no, absolutely. And you have, so on the note of 75% returning guest, which is
Hmm.
incredible. To my knowledge, it might not be everywhere, but the Britain, right? You have another segment to satisfy, which is the owners,
Correct.
right, of some of those. So normally people just have the customers, you're coming to vacation, and you have the hotel and
Right.
your employees. But you've got this other group. How do you manage that? Is that something that what does it take to make them happy other than more bookings? And you're on the hook for
Right.
that as well, though, right? As
Mhm.
CMO.
So it is we Brittain Resorts and Hotels. I would challenge anyone in the industry to find a more complex way of management than we do. We run very complex properties. So um, we have hotels, we have Courtyard, Spring Hill Suites. We have those. They're so much easier to run. You get to rely on the marketing reach. You get to leverage the brand. It's kind of a piece of cake. Um, in the independent space where you have condo owners, you don't own the units. So the units are owned by people, most of them that live out of state. They hire you for a percentage to manage and market your unit. It is the only industry in the world, though, where when your customer, in this case, they're our customer, we need them, otherwise we don't have product to sell. When they leave you, they become your competitor the next day. So
Mm.
it's a dangerous slippery slope to lose them. What's happened to the industry has been a huge disruption because of COVID, which COVID frustrates me to death. It's a whole different subject, right? The unpredictability of experts over the last 5 years has been crazy. COVID was supposed to absolutely transform. I was told that travel would never be the same from it, and it feels pretty normal to me now. The only thing the experts can't predict is up and down years anymore, right? Every
Wow.
time I hear it's going to be a good year, it's low. Every time I hear it's a slow year, it's going to be good. But going back to COVID, COVID created this, I hate to recap the obvious, the social distancing nature of travel, right? Which has not stuck. It's returning back to normal. Um, that artificially inflated this idea, this Airbnb and VRBO, kind of a speculative bubble, right? And I have a whole white paper I wrote on this. So owners didn't need management companies, and they would leave our management company, go on Airbnb and VRBO, and they would be fully sold out for the whole year. That's because no one was staying at big box resorts. Half the world was closed. Most of the world was closed. So you had 21 and 22 of historic bookings all through Airbnb and VRBO. In fact, those sites nationally had a 5% growth in product and a 25% growth in demand,
Mm.
which is unbelievable, right? They couldn't even fulfill the demand. So owners rode those 2 years out and said, I don't need a management company anymore. They thought this was going to last forever. What made it worse is there's the people who missed out on year one and year two, then went, bought units, and listed them on there too. So now supply got absolutely flooded. Supply jumped another 28%, but this time demand dropped 7%. And it's
Yeah.
just been doing that every single year. Demand on vacation rental portals has dropped below pre-pandemic levels, yet there are something like 700,000 more vacation rental listings in the US than there was before the pandemic. So this was a cycle. It will continue to be a cycle, but that's just one challenge that condo management provides, or that you have to deal with that a traditional hotel doesn't. You've got to satisfy your homeowners, make sure they're getting revenue, and you have to find customers.
So can an individual, let's say I bought a 3 bedroom condo, can I take that offline and rent that myself?
Yes.
Obviously, you don't like that.
No, it's what you do, and that's what happened during COVID to quite a few. The problem is when you have an oversupplied uh, product and that has demand that's not even anywhere close to it, and travel is returning back to the comforts and the want of amenities and the cleanliness of resorts, the standards and all that. They're not getting the rates they used to. There's also some restrictions at the property. Certain properties you can't use water slide, for example, if you're not on the program. So when all your eggs are in one basket on one channel, Airbnb and VRBO, that's great until that one's flooded. Our company alone, we said, all right, well, technically we can put our listings on there too. We added 10,000 listings to Airbnb and VRBO just to increase the supply. If you can, Jason, if you can take your unit and go list it on there, why can't I list all ours?
Yeah,
So now you're competing with 10,000 more listings on there. And
got more distribution.
right. But that is one channel, one spoke of 100 spokes that we have for marketing. But you who went and are relying solely on that, you are 100% at the mercy of the demand they can generate for you.
Yeah, and the benefit is like being on your site. I mean, if an individual owner, it's either I like your place and it's big enough and it has all the things I want or not. You actually go to North Beach Villas and I can choose between a house or an ocean view or a 5 bedroom, a 3 bedroom. So, um, yeah, I mean, I'm sure you have all of the stats and what you offer versus, but yeah, that's an interesting dynamic. And
It is.
find that they end up going out on their own, trying to probably save some points right on the
Mhm.
booking, and then they just don't want to do it. They come back.
Yeah, it's either they're not getting the return or what happened too is you had Airbnb and VRBO continuing to increase their rates.
Hmm.
And owners are getting smart to the fact that there's a lot of regulations coming that are going to really impact short-term rentals over the next few years. There's already some in some major states or cities, but there's more being passed where the taxes are collected. You have to be you have to have an on-site office for safety purposes, right? If your unit catches fire, someone needs to be in that town. So regulations, oversupply, and under demand are going to, kind of drive them back to the traditional management company. We're still at an 85% retention rate at our hotels, which is very, very high for homeowners.
Oh, I believe it. There's a
Yeah.
lot of places that we visit as a family of five. So it's my wife and I and three kids. And we leave the hotel and we say, that was nice.
Yeah.
But if we ever came back, we'd probably try something else.
Hmm.
And I had a conversation just last week with someone from my team. She lives in Florida, but she and her family are going up to Myrtle Beach. I was like, hold on, stop the search. Brought up North Beach. I'm like, they've got
There
this,
you
they've
go.
got Lazy River, they've got this, the pizzas. You don't know if hotel food's going to be great. Like the
Yeah.
pizzas that they're pumping out on that bridge are incredible.
Yeah.
I think our kids and I,
Mhm.
we had it like every single night. And then the access to the amenities like barefoot landing, you just cannot beat the value that
Yeah.
we received. And the swim up bars, things like that were just so clutch. So she's headed your way as well, which
Great.
is really cool. I those numbers, I can definitely see that in every piece, every touch point, from the expectations leading up to the trip to then the welcoming, going into the welcome reception area,
Hmm.
having them iron it out with the map, and just everything just being very detailed and
Right.
not being a lot to for us to be frustrated or guess about.
Right. So even the offsite, like if you were renting your unit out on your own, you have to figure out how are you checking your guests in.
Oh,
You
they
can't.
can't use that facility.
No, no. I mean, the idea is, are they
I
picking up
mean,
a
it's so
key on a lockbox outside? Who's cleaning the unit? We have on-site housekeeping, on-site maintenance. So you got a contract with an outside maintenance company, an outside housekeeping company. It starts to add up to where it doesn't make sense. You just end up hiring the on-site management company, especially if they have a proven track record of success like we do.
Yeah. No, I mean that just makes a ton of sense. I was thinking even the Airbnbers could go to that beautiful facility and check in and have all of they went through the site map with us. Here's the dates and the hours and everything was just
Yeah.
spelled.
Right.
Awesome, awesome. Well, we're coming up on time. I got just a few more questions. So
Okay.
CMO, doing just an incredible amount of revenue. You've got all of these resorts. You've got growth goals as well. What's it look like a day in the life of someone like you, owner, chief marketing officer for such a big company?
Yeah. I've been really fortunate to build a very good team. Lately, I'm currently the chair of our Myrtle Beach Chamber. The Myrtle Beach Chamber is very different than a traditional chamber. It serves as the DMO, which is the destination marketing organization. So it is tasked with promoting Myrtle Beach. We're in the middle of a CEO change too, so chairing during a CEO change has been incredibly difficult. But that has sucked most of my time away. But it generally is staying out of those three people's way, and letting them go. They're vice presidents for a reason. We have a team of, I think, marketing, revenue, and sales. Counting our call center is probably 300 people. So we've got, again, that three-headed monster, those vice presidents. They run it like clockwork, make sure they have what they need, but make sure we're staying cutting edge. While our marketing department is good at, maintaining what we have going, it's my job to go out there and find what's next. I met you at a conference, so I go to those conferences, I find products like what you all offer, bring them back, integrate them, give them something new to, kind of help propel our innovation forward. And that's mostly it. It's just kind of overseeing that team and make sure we stay kind of top of the food chain, which is where I believe we are in our market.
Yeah, what's interesting is I've never seen a company. Brittain does this. I've never seen another company, but correct me if you've seen it. But you must have an enormous amount of confidence in how you conduct your business that you would on your site show your tech stack, right? Like,
Hmm.
hey, here's what we use. Here's the software and the PMS, all this different stuff we have. And I'm sure you're probably utilizing it there to show
Right.
prospective owners, bring your buildings over here. Look at what we're doing. But you lead with that, so you all
Yeah.
seem to be at the forefront of technology. Is that something that is an internal initiative? You're constantly
Mhm.
looking for things that might be able to move the needle?
We do, like, we call it our AI driven business intelligence model, where we want to stay, cutting edge. We want to stay in the forefront. We have this terrible metaphor that I came up with that I use at conferences. It's my Top Gun metaphor, which I hate. I hate explaining to my new marketing people because they don't know who Goose is. They're like, "Oh, you mean Hangman?" Like, they're all about the new Top Gun. But so, um, 80% of what we do is fundamentals, which we call Iceman, right? You just wear down the fundamentals. They never change. The markets are so unstable. Do that well. What I'm supposed to do is be maverick, innovative thinking. That's about 15% of what we do. So 80% tried and true, 15% go meet Jason at a conference, don't know what this product is. Let's integrate it and see what it does, right? 4 or 5 of those each year. And then the tasteless joke is 5% is dead ends, and we call that Goose, right? Like, you got to know what to sunset. You got to make some room for some new innovation, by letting some old stuff go. So the last two are really what I focus on, the kind of the dead ends and the new innovation that we roll out. But why we're so transparent with our tech stack is because we don't care. We are Bill Belichick that will hand you the playbook and say, you're not we're not winning because of our playbook. We're winning because of the people. When you hire Brittain, you hire the people. We are the secret sauce. I say we, my team, the whole team here. We can give you the formula for how to do it, but the execution is what makes Brittain different. And keeping that playbook fresh every year, right? What that looks like today, it will not look like that in 90 days.
Yeah. Well, we're going to wrap up. Just one last question here, Patrick.
Mhm.
We do just gather somewhat of a younger audience. I do a lot of things with the local universities here. Um, it's incredible to see someone. You come down to Myrtle Beach, you don't know anyone, you get plugged in, you work hard. There's probably some skills or attributes about what you were able to do or who you are as a person that allowed you to ascend to the top of this organization. What
Mhm.
type of advice would you give to someone entering travel and hospitality?
So, that's a great question. I have an unpopular answer, as most of mine are, but it's my answer that's worked well for me. And um, one is an easy one, and one of my mentors once told me that, always take on the challenge of any property you take over. So he worked in the resort space. He would never ever take over. They would try to offer. They would say, "Hey, this guy retired. He's running the nicest resort we have. It is immaculate. You don't even have to do much." He had nothing to prove there. He could only make that property worse. He would say, "Well, promote someone else. And what's your most challenging resort? Give me that one." He would go there. If it didn't turn around, people had low expectations for that resort anyway. If he turned it around, he was a hero, and that's how he built his whole career. So take on the department or the resort or the position that has the most room for improvement. Don't take on the well-oiled machine that you don't have a lot of room to improve. So that's the easy answer. The second relates to personality, which is, I try to focus on leading naturally. And I saw the idea of, what would you tell yourself if you were younger? I would not give myself the advice that most people would say. I despise this concept that you see everywhere, that there's a leadership blueprint, right? And they're all the same thing. You're on LinkedIn, it's an infograph, and say this, not that. Say the leader is whatever feels natural to you, right? So when I was young, I was aggressive, I was hungry. At a time when everyone's telling you that to be a good leader, be stoic, read Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius, and you can't. I left over a lot of people in my career by speaking out in meetings and being aggressive, who were sitting quietly and being quiet thinkers. That's great, but you haven't earned that privilege yet. When you're young, you are standing in a crowded field of people who are competitive and hungry and fighting for positions. And stoicism is really for the established. I've grown into it a little bit. I'm a lot calmer than I used to be. I'm a 43-year-old dad now, but when I was young, I would say, you know, I won't even say stay aggressive. That was my style. I say lead naturally, and that don't fight your natural self. Play to your strengths. If you're a knuckleball pitcher, don't let people tell you you'll never make it to the big leagues because you don't have a fastball. Just be really good at a knuckleball pitch, right? It's worked well for some people. So, um, close with that. Always lead naturally with what feels to yourself. Listen to your mentors, but ultimately, play to your strengths.
Awesome, man. Yeah, and certainly it's worked for you. You're one of the most down to earth, humble people that we've had the privilege of meeting. So I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, and appreciate this. This was great, and Hover's been a great product, and we look forward to the partnership.
Awesome, man. And thank you, the listener, for tuning in to another episode of the Moments That Matter podcast. As always, be sure to like this, comment, or if you want to stay up to date with new episodes, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Thanks so much.